welcome back to her Gypsy Soul podcast, The Stories That Bind Us. My name is Jacqueline Van Bierk. I am your host. I am an artist. I'm a singer, songwriter, music producer, composer. I love life. I love adventure. I love nature. I love my doggy Bolt. I prefer to eat really healthy vegan foods and believe in holistic healing techniques more so than Western approaches. And my goal with this podcast is really to bring people together through storytelling because we have so much more in common than we think we do. And I keep saying that because it is simply true. We live in a time where we talk about unity, we talk about love, but I see more now than ever a lot of division going on and a lot of people talking, not listening. Everybody seems to have a very strong opinion about something and will not bend or even like lend their ear. So what I encourage you to do is instead of sitting behind your computer and typing away, if you see something that you're unhappy about or you're outraged by, phone up a friend first and just like let that out, because having this real conversation and getting someone else's perspective is super important. And when you disagree on something, it is still better to just have a real conversation. DM that person. Have a real civil conversation about things that you disagree on. We cannot live in a world where it's black and white, where it's only this and not the other. And it's becoming a very dangerous place for many people to be outspoken and to really just be themselves. And we are in danger of losing that. And if you can't see that, I think it's time to open your eyes to that. And so I always say this is super important for all of us to meditate, to go within and not get so distracted and even emotionally destroyed by the outside forces that being televised, so very important to do that. With that said, with no further ado, I have an amazing guest today, and I like this guy. He's such a great guy, such a talented singer, songwriter, musician, producer, composer, and he's also a very outspoken person, which I really appreciate. We need more people like that who can speak their truth and stand by what they believe and what they think. We need that more now than ever. So with no further ado, here's my good friend, Anthony Nieves. Hi, Anthony. I am so excited to have you on because
thanks.
yeah, I just love everything you do. You're so inspiring. You're such a talented musician, music producer, and a very outspoken person, which I really, really appreciate and enjoy. Oh my God, you've had so much success. You had several placements with, your music. And I mean, you have a band, I think you have also, so Clear Blue Fire is your band, right?
Clear Blue Fire is the band, yeah.
And then Sunfeeder is your production music or like sync kind of.
That's correct. So that's the studio, the Sunfeeder studio. So that's my other brand of, just to keep them separate, So as an artist, it's Clear Blue Fire, although I do have a couple of other projects as well. Mm-hmm. Clear Blue Fire has been the most successful in the sync world.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Sunfeeder allows me to actually record other artists as well and just work as a producer and work the studio.
Mm-hmm. Great. And then you're also with Mutiny Records, who have gotten you, I guess, some great placements, I would love to hear more about that, how you got started. And you are in Australia, which is awesome. So you're totally on the other side. How has it been for you, like from where you started and where you are now? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are now with your music. I always find that fascinating.
Yeah, I've always played music. Actually, if you want to go right back to the beginning, in my teens, I was actually a drummer, and I played drums for a couple of different bands. One that had moderate success just here locally, nothing big, but we were playing some good supports and playing a ton of shows for a few years there as a drummer, and that was in the heavy metal scene. Actually, it was like heavy alternative metal sort of stuff. Yeah, and then I after that disbanded. I then went on to I mean, there's guitars lying around the room all the time, right? So being in bands and you just pick up guitars, and I was always, you know, sang a bit of backing vocals and that sort of thing, and then moved into the frontman space after that, the last bit of my drumming. So I played drums for about a good solid 10 years, and then moved into the singer-songwriter space, and did that for a while. I did a lot of sort of pretty easy listening sort of stuff, just started out acoustic writing on acoustic, and just that band had moderate success as well, just locally. I mean, we played some big shows, and as a solo artist as well, I played to crowds of over 1,000, which was pretty good for a tiny little city that Perth is here. Perth in Western Australia is it's a pretty small little city tucked away on the other side of Australia, so it's not like Sydney or Melbourne. And then I decided to change my writing style again, because I mean, as we're all artists, right? So we like to explore different avenues and try on different hats, so to speak. So I took that, took my songwriting, and then I discovered Kathy. So in about 2016, I think, did some searching online, something like that, and really changed things up after that. I'd already been writing in an electronic genre prior to meeting Kathy. I wrote sort of electro dance rock sort of stuff, which I had a lot of fun doing. And I had a couple of good tracks that Kathy heard. One was called Good Times, which hence, you know, that just the title of that track, it's probably quite sync friendly. And then from there, just started writing in different genres. I really started to like the sort of funk soul, alt funk soul alternative stuff, and I developed a brand, a project of mine called 5 Star Neon. 5 Star Neon has had some low-level success in the sync world, and it's only actually released one single, but I've got a ton of songs that I'm sort of sandbagging, like just holding on to, which I probably need to let them out, because that's right why we write music, right? So that other people can hear it.
Yeah.
But the Clear Blue Fire thing, you know, coming from my roots in sort of hard rock and metal way back as a kid, and I genuinely do have a love for every genre. Anything that sort of makes you move, you know, moves you, I'm going to like it, right? So I enjoyed the electro dance rock stuff. I enjoyed my acoustic songwriting stuff, which I may go back to soon as well. But the Clear Blue Fire stuff really enabled me to marry some lyrical content of what I've always like, positive, motivational, uplifting, you can't stop me now, I'm on top of the world kind of lyrical content, which with some powerful, hard-hitting rock drums and and guitar grooves, which I'm quite passionate about. And one thing led to another. Of course, as artists, we shop ourselves around. You know, we look to work with other people. We look to find. Well, I was looking for licensing agents, and I did speak to Catch the Moon, and they were they liked what I was doing. You know, I developed the songs through Kathy's coaching and guidance, and Sonnet and everyone else in there, who were all really, really good. But as it turned out, reaching out as we do with lots of emails and phone calls and trying to reach out, the 3 or 4 songs that I'd sent out to Mutiny Recordings really sparked some interest, and Ryan Gaines jumped on a Skype call with me like straight away. He just said, dude, man, let's have a chat. And he was extremely passionate. And they say when you're in this industry, always work with people who are passionate about what you're doing.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And that goes for even forming a band, picking a bass player, a drummer, whoever it might be, as long as they're passionate about what you're doing, because everyone's brand is going to be different, right? It's going to be obscure or whatever it might be. so finding the right people is really important. And Ryan had a huge passion for what Clear Blue Fire was putting out. And so Clear Blue Fire initially is just it's just me. I like wrote all the tracks, played all the instruments, and then recruited people like to be involved, you know. So like I've got a great drummer who's been involved, but we're not actually gigging live on a high rotation basis at the moment. But 2021 is here, and we've dropped a bunch of singles over the last 18 months. And I think the singles now, there's enough there to put together a full-length record. And so hopefully we'll press some vinyl in 2021 and do a launch and really get some buzz around the beginning of Clear Blue Fire, because it's I think through all my years of playing live, especially in a tiny little town like Perth, well, we're a city, but it's you do it for the love, not the money. That's, I think, what I'm trying to say. So there's very little money in it for live bands. With it, you do it for the love. So I don't do a lot of it these days. I'd rather play a show that's got some significance behind it than just playing to a. And with COVID, especially over the last, all of 2020, pubs and live music venues there was nothing going on, right? So it really killed the industry here. People were just looking for any kind of work they could get.
Yeah, it's kind of
hopefully 2021.
Yeah, you know, you had success. You had a placement on Lucifer.
Yes, that's right. So we've
right. That was kind of cool. That's a pretty great accomplishment. Like,
very cool.
Yeah.
Mutiny Recordings have been very instrumental in all the placements that we've landed. I have had a couple of little ones through another licensing agent anyway. It'll come back to me.
So many, like I can't remember.
But Mutiny have really been behind all the big ones. They're very well connected. They're in LA based, and they're very well connected with all that's happening. You know, from the Showtime Productions, Warner Brothers Productions, Disney. They're in there. They've been working it for well over a decade. So it's a good relationship to have. It's a tough time at the moment because they're holding back on releasing television series. They're holding back on making movies. It's a little bit of an interesting time in the world. But we landed Lucifer, and we've landed a couple of other big ones like Shameless. When I say big, they're popular alternative TV series. Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, that every little bit helps. And I think licensing music, like sync, is definitely the new way of earning money, and also to kind of get a following, right? Because I mean, first of all, you can't play shows right now, and it would also be really hard to play the whole world. Like, that it would tour the whole world. I'm curious, how is it now in Australia? Like, how's the situation as far as like with everything going on? Because I know I'm from Germany, and my mom just told me that they have more lockdowns and restrictions and even like curfew. It's just crazy. How's it going with you guys?
We're so lucky where I am. I'm in Perth, Western Australia. So you could say there's a phrase that's being thrown around here locally in Perth that we're in a bubble. So
good.
We probably only saw a lockdown of about 3 months, I think, maybe something like that. It didn't last long, sort of March to June, July. And then things started to go back to normal. Oh, well, sorry. No, not normal. All the
new normal.
The new normal, where you can't go into a venue without signing in with some kind of contact tracing app.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like, I went out on a boat trip with a bunch of people just recently.
I saw that.
And we weren't allowed. Yeah. We weren't allowed on the boat unless we downloaded the app and signed in and all this sort of bullshit, which, but we're still pretty lucky. I don't know how much you've seen on the news with say Victoria. Melbourne, Victoria is out of control as far as their the draconian dictators that are sort of running that state. So each state in Australia has been quite separated from each other. And I'd say, so in Australia, we've got premiers that run the state, as opposed to in the US, I think you have governors. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that each premier, the head of state, is sort of handling their state independently.
Yeah.
And we've had border closures, we've had borders open again, but our premier wants our businesses to thrive, not die, right? So he's keeping our state as operational as possible without upsetting the globalists' agendas.
Yeah.
So so we haven't really seen any COVID cases. I don't think they're even doing any serious testing here, right? Because we just WA it's. I mean, look at where I am right now.
I know, it's so awesome. You're on a boat.
You know, I'm pretty lucky. I've kept a very close eye on what's going on in the rest of the world, or even the rest of this country, and we've got a few leaders that have they're taking their orders from the globalists, from the New World Order, and they're delivering that message right down through the people. You know, we had Queensland last week just went into lockdown just for the weekend, because we all know the virus is only going to come back on Monday, right? So sorry, it's going to disappear on Monday. So it's just coming out for Saturday and Sunday.
Oh my God.
It's some strange stuff going on, but
so weird. Like, I can't even, I went to the park today and I had a conversation with this person. We just started talking, and he's like so convinced that, once the vaccine is there and everything is going to be good again, we can all go and do our thing. And I was just like, I'm not taking it. And he's like, why not? It's safe. I did all my research on that. And I'm like, okay, that's good. Like, good for you. But then he told me all these cases that I'm not even following it, because I feel that once I get into that, checking in every day, how many cases, it's going to just freak me the fuck out. Like, I'm not even want to go outside. And I
that's
can't.
their plan.
That's
the plan, right? Yeah.
And so, I mean, even when I go hiking, me and maybe like 10 other people have no mask on. I mean, I'm not close to people. I'm staying away from people, but I'm not gonna. I need fresh air, when I'm outside. That's the whole point of being outside. But I feel that it's just such fear mongering that I don't even know what to believe anymore, because there's just so many information thrown at us that, and I think we're on the same kind of page as far as we just think for ourselves and use common sense, right. Use common sense and obviously don't be an idiot, but at the same time, don't stop living. My mom told me, and we live kind of in a bubble. We live in a really small town in Germany. And when she told me like that, they just put an order and like only one person allowed at someone's home. And she's depressed because she's like, I can't go anywhere. She's like, nothing is open. And it's already a small town. There's already nothing happening anyway. And I told her, I'm like, they can't tell you who you can hang out with and where you can go. You have to stop.
Yeah.
It's unhealthy. It's very unhealthy for us humans.
It's very, they're shackling our minds with controlling. It's out of control. But you try and talk to people about it, and people get upset.
Yeah.
Because they do what comes natural, I think, which it's human nature to put trust into the powers that be. That's what we do. We go, no, they're looking out for our best interests. Surely they must be. Mm-hmm. But I've always been one that likes to ask questions. But these days, questions are illegal. Like, what's going on there? And as soon as that comes into play, it makes me want to ask more questions. But that's about where I'm at. I think it's just when you see people like 500,000 doctors worldwide trying to have a voice and that's being silenced, that just raises more questions again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But to be honest, we're lucky in WA. There's pretty much zero cases and zero. WA was Western Australia. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
It's like zero cases. And when we're relatively unaffected by all the fear mongering, because we're certainly not seeing it. And all the people I speak to who do live in the eastern states, Western, like Victoria and New South Wales, our eastern states of Australia, most of the people I'm talking to also feel that this is a response to something that is so blown up and out of proportion, which makes you beg the questions. What's going on? What's really going on?
Yeah. I think it's so important now more than ever to question things and to not just, trust blindly in what you're. The scary part is I see people, and unfortunately people that are really intelligent and smart and also older, who should know better because they've lived quite a bit of life and have seen quite a bit of things, but basically just repeating word for word what they just heard on the news, and
a parrot. Yep, like a parrot.
And I'm going like, oh my God, like seriously, you I just shake my head where I'm like, okay, I'm back to writing my music. I can't, because at some point, I think it's important to have a voice and to question things, but also at some point to say, you know what, it's pointless, especially on Facebook. I think it's pointless to try to argue because you can't win. Although I must say you and a few other people are really good at rebuttal. Like, you have when it's intelligent and still nice and kind versus like, fuck you, it gets into this whole downward spiral kind of nasty, defensive mode, which doesn't help anybody, that's
and it's energy that could be spent better doing something more positive. So
exactly.
I try to walk away from that. People get very upset when they hear something that they don't agree with. It's almost like a religion now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. You're not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to question it.
No. How do you feel?
But,
did it affect your business? Because I mean, we in the music industry are, it's obvious that the people are way further on one side than in the middle. Has it affected you by being more outspoken?
Look, I think if it has, I haven't seen it.
Okay, good.
I'm sure that it has, because there's always going to be someone who actually, look, I've seen people leave. I've watched my followers sort of fluctuate, go up and down, but you win new friends too, because people have asked me, how, I think something that I like to say is I meet new friends. And why do you meet new friends? Because we share a common enemy. And you can put all other differences aside when you share a common enemy. And all of a sudden you've got a kinship there, a bonding. There's a bonding, an instant bonding when people share same ideals, same ideals. So I think some people have left. They've decided, no, Clear Blue Fire is no longer a band I even want to listen to, but that's okay. I think music's always been a little bit political too. I mean, I grew up listening to, let's just pick one at random, say Rage Against the Machine or something like that, where they're intentionally political. They go out of their way to be, to have a voice. Whereas I think Clear Blue Fire is very neutral. The lyrics in my songs are intended to be
Universal.
Yeah, they're positive, universal, with a positive energy. So I'm not going into any political side or anything like that. I'm just I think everyone wins when you approach something with positivity.
I totally agree. I think it's needed. We all want, when there's so much shit going on in the world, the last thing you want, and I write a lot of dark music right now too, but I think sometimes you just want to hear something that lifts you up, where you're like, fuck yeah, I'm going to do my thing, and or something really angry, like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me,
Yeah, exactly.
The best songs ever. Like,
yeah.
You need that balance. Speaking of balance, how do you stay healthy, and what do you have a specific routine? As musicians, we don't really have that. You do music full time, or you do also something else?
I've had the pleasure of doing my music full time for a few years, but recently, especially over COVID, the last 12 months or more, I've now got another job as well. I think most musicians do, especially during this time, you know. But and I've most of my working life, I've had both. I've had to work and be a musician. You know, we need income, and yeah. So, but from 2017. Inclusive, all of 2017, 2018, and half of 2019 was 100% Clear Blue Fire and Sunfeeder Music, which was my studio production. And obviously, you know, some of the sync licensing really helped keep that afloat. So it was 200% all day, all night. I was pulling 18-hour days actually, which is what we do as artists anyway. You know, we're sort of we work all through the night and through the day, but now I work as well and do my music. So it's I think most musicians that I know still do that too. So it's what we do.
Sometimes it's not like a you know, being a lawyer or having a regular job where it's always consistent. We go through like dry spells, you know, where it's like I've seen my royalties like go from being pretty like growing to like totally hitting the, you know, ground. I'm like, what the hell's going on? It's just something that I think you have to, not everybody's made for this, you know, because it's a very inconsistent, very volatile kind of business to be, you know, and also we get a lot of rejection, you know, so not everybody can do that and can handle that.
You have to be versatile. You have to be thick-skinned. And like I said before, I think the phrase that I like to use, and I've used it for the last couple of decades in my life, is that we do it for the love, not the money. Absolutely. Because sometimes there's periods where there's no money in it, and we just keep doing it because we love it. I've been fortunate enough to have been able to ride the wave a little bit when the money was good, and I'm sure it's going to come again too. 2021, hopefully we'll see. The world is in a weird place right now. I know some very successful musicians who live locally here in Perth, who they're touring musicians. They're normally touring the world, you know, you know, I know promoters who do massive shows. Like there's a big metal fest in that he holds over in Singapore, which is a global thing. He also holds them here in Australia, but with no touring, with all the borders closed, his business is well, it's closed, right? There's no work. And some of these other musicians who are celebrity status, they're just rehearsing at home. You know, it's hurting people. It's definitely hurting people.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important. I know musicians too that have been like touring. You know, that was like their career, and I feel it's so important to get into the sync world. You know, to write music, own part of the writers, so that you have that other multiple streams. You know, that diversifying your income streams. Otherwise, this, you know, living proof that when shit goes down, you're screwed. You know? How do you feel about like the whole online performing thing, like the streaming? You know, have you tried that? Or
I like it. I haven't done any full online gigs yet, but I like it. I think it's great. I love seeing musicians doing it. I like to watch it. So as a fan, as a music fan, I love seeing. I've seen one about 6 months ago when Australia was in like full lockdown, from an Australian band, and they were all actually playing, and each one of them were in their own home.
That's cool.
So it was like, but they had all the cameras set up. I have no idea how they got it to synchronize so well, but it was awesome.
So was it like a Zoom thing?
I don't know how they did it.
Oh.
I don't know how they did it, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's very cool. I think what they would have done is recorded it, and then I don't know if it was a live. If it was live, I didn't see it live. I saw a post recording of it. But I love it. I love seeing other, like, you know, friends of ours in our music circle. I mean, I think we've got hundreds of musician friends in common, and there's quite a few that are doing live gigs via, you know, streaming. It's giving back to the people. When the people can't come to see you, you can still give them something. It's great.
In a way, I feel like I want to start doing it this year, and in a way, I feel like, well, I can finally tour the whole world, because
Yeah.
you have the whole world with you, so you could just say, I'm right now, I'm on Japan time. Hey, join me. It's kind of, I think it's a good thinking outside the box when versus just like saying, oh my God, the world is like ending now. That's also very important to just kind of find different outlets and avenues, like what we could do in this situation. And I mean, Zoom, I'm sure you too, like I've been to so many conferences that I probably would have never been able to attend if it wasn't for this, because everything is on Zoom.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you are, as long as you got the time right. That is a little bit of practice. It's like, oh shit, wrong time zone.
Yeah.
I missed it. But yeah, I like it too. I feel that's definitely, it's not quite the same, but it's another way to just, communicate
Connect.
and connect, and that's, I mean, look at us. We could never do that in person right now unless you would be here or I would be there, Is Australia shut down where people cannot come and visit, or is it, can people actually?
It's been changing. Every 2 weeks you hear something different, so it's hard for me to sort of answer that one. I know that international borders have been closed, but they may be open again. But I don't really know. I'm not paying too much attention to it.
Yeah.
I think I know that people, friends of mine who were living overseas came back in November last year, but they probably just did a 14-day quarantine when they arrived. And other friends of mine that I also know, they did the same thing. They were allowed to quarantine in their own home, as long as there was no one else living there. All the weird rules. But and our state borders have opened and closed over the last 6 months or 4 months. Sometimes we're in full lock. They're fully locked, and other times they're open for people to travel, as long as they can quarantine at each end for 14 days. So that makes it hard for someone to sort of go visit family in the East for a week, because you need 3 weeks, right?
Right.
Because you've got to quarantine for 14 days when you arrive over there before you're allowed to see the family. And then when you come back into the state, you've got to quarantine for 14 days over here as well. So I'd say you need 5 weeks, not 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. I'm always curious, because Australia is like one of the places I haven't been yet, and I eventually want to go. But I've always been told that you guys have like the most dangerous, like, insects and spiders and all kinds of weird shit. Tell me some of that, like how true that is, or if you guys just want to keep us out. You're just like all that weird shit. So
50-50. Yeah, it's half. We've got some pretty deadly snakes and spiders, and we've got great white sharks as well. But at the same time, it's probably not that different anywhere else. We've got a few. We've got the big crocodiles as well, which you probably would have seen. But we don't, like, the crocs are up in the north, like the very north of Australia, heads into like Indonesia.
Yeah.
Some much warmer waters up there. And then the sharks are probably down my way, down by Perth and all the southern coastline. And yeah, we've got the redback spider. We've probably got a couple other spiders, and we've definitely got some of the deadliest snakes in the world, but they're not really around any urban areas, Well, the spiders are, but I think half of it's sort of folk tales, myth. It's not as bad as they make it out. Maybe they just want to keep this wonderful country that we've got to ourselves.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like it's the same with oh my God, I'm totally blanking right now. Back up north, where they always say it's always raining, and they just say that so that nobody comes to visit, because they want to keep the tourists out of there. So how do you manage, since you are a full-time musician and then you also have a job, how do you manage to stay healthy and fit and strong? Do you have a specific routine that you like to use, or you're just a natural?
I wish I could say I do. up until COVID hit and the world went weird, I used to do trips to Indonesia. We go to Bali. Bali for us is a 3-hour plane flight.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's super cheap as well. Like, I know it's had some good publicity over the last few years with some Hollywood spotlights on Bali, and it is nice. It's really nice, But the surf over there is awesome, and the water's warm. So I'd go twice a year. I'd normally go around March, April, and then I'd go again in sort of September, and I'd do a week and just go surfing over there. It's pretty awesome. The water's a lot colder here in Perth, and there's a few more sharks around here in Perth. So I don't go as much as I used to, like when I was prior to the. So what they did with the great white sharks is they lifted they put them onto a protected species list, and as soon as they did that, they bred.
Yeah.
There's a lot of breeding, and so there's a few more around now than used to be when I was growing up in Perth. So I'm a little more reluctant to jump in the water and just go for a surf here. Lots of people still do, but I don't. But I still get out in the water. I just don't go surfing. As far as keeping fit, I wish I had more time to do it. I do like to do water sports, and I since 2014. I have a vegetarian diet. I love vegetarian food. It was just a trial. I was working with some guys who used to do a meatless Monday, and they would just like try a meatless Monday. And I thought, I'm going to try this meatless Monday thing you guys are talking about. Well, it's been a meatless 7 years now. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And I'm not one of those people that's going to run around and tell everyone how they should live their life, because I don't like people telling me, so I would never do that.
Yeah.
But it does often become a conversation starter as soon as you say to someone, "Oh, yeah, no meat for me, thanks." But why? It's like, well, that's just me. That's just how I
Yeah.
choose to be. So
I feel you. I don't know how you guys are. Like in Germany, meat is like always part of a meal, and I don't eat meat either. And oh my God, the conversations I had to have with people, it's either like you're too skinny, you need to eat meat, you're not getting all the protein, and I'm like, I'm not telling you, to stop eating and killing animals. So why are you telling me? Like, stop it. It becomes a little bit annoying sometimes, where I feel like, don't judge me. I'm not judging you.
That's exactly how I've experienced it as well.
Yeah.
Live and let live.
Yeah.
And but it upsets people. They go, so yeah. Anyway. Yes, I eat a vegetarian diet. I like to get out when the weather's good. I like to get out and about. Winter is not my favorite time of year at all. But that's okay. I got friends who love the rain, but it's not for me. I like much warmer weather. That's why when I holiday, I go north, which is towards the equator, and I'll go towards Indonesia, where I can literally get flights to Bali from Perth for, you wouldn't believe me if I told you, for as cheap as, when the sales are on, $49 one way, more like $150 one way. But sometimes you'll get mad sales where you'll get them super cheap, and it's 3 hours, right? 3 hours and 20 minutes. So to pop over to Indo for a week, a couple of times a year, was something I really used to love to do in the old normal. And now with hopefully things will change in the near future, and I'll be able to get to do a bit more of that.
Yeah.
It's nice to just switch off, get away,
Yeah, I'm gonna leave LA again. I'm gonna just take a road trip, I think, versus flying. It just feels a bit nicer. I just really hope that we're not gonna have to like mandatory get vaccinated. I hope it's just like something that is being said and that's not true. That would really fucking suck.
It would.
Because
it takes away people's rights and freedoms.
That is just pushing, like,
it's scary.
That is very scary, and I know many people who think this is the right thing to do, and that scares me even more. Like, oh.
They're repeating like a parrot. The
Yes.
reason I use that phrase like a parrot is because the parrot's got no idea what it's saying.
Yeah.
It just repeats it, right? So they hear it on the news and they go, oh, no, vaccine's going to save our lives. We need to get back to normal. It's like, well, do a little bit of research. Please, just do a little bit of research. And you say that and then they get upset. But I just think any world where they're forcing people to do something is, you've got to beg questions. You've got to ask why. Because why can't somebody be living their own life? If they're not affecting anyone else, then to mandate something like that is it's crazy. And the risks that are involved all get swept under the carpet. They all get swept under the mat, so to speak. They get hidden, silenced, deleted. Anyone that shows true data on the damaging effects that have occurred, very, very real damaging effects that have occurred, get silenced, and we get called crazy people for even bringing it up. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't force somebody to do anything in their life. Like we just talked before, I eat a vegetarian diet. I'm not going to go around forcing anybody to do that. And mandating vaccines is such a controversial topic as well. It's crazy to think that governments think that they can be involved in such a mandatory process.
Yeah, I think it's important for people like us who question these things to stand up and come together, because that's really, you know, if there's no resistance, if there's just like, okay, you know, I had one friend said, I'll get it. I want to travel, so I'll do whatever it takes to travel. And I'm like, oh my God, really? Would you just like lose your leg? If I told you, if you give me a leg, then you can do whatever you want, you know?
Yeah.
It's just slight insanity, to be honest. Like,
absolutely.
You know, it really is. You know,
I saw a funny meme this week that said there are two kinds of people in this world. If the government told you got to eat your own shit, there's one group of people who'd say that doesn't sound right, and the other group of people will say, "Where's my spoon?"
Yes, I saw.
You know? It's like, just ask a few questions. That's all I really want people to do. Is just ask a few questions and just yeah.
I'm totally with you. It's so refreshing, you know, to hear that. And I have to say, I'm finding more and more people that think like we do, you know, and I know we're being labeled all kinds of names, crazy conspiracy theorists, when in reality, conspiracy has become reality in so many ways, you know.
Yeah. The real conspiracy is, why are they covering up all the truth? That's the real conspiracy.
Exactly, you know, and why you're silencing everybody. That is just like, that's the suspicious thing right there. You know, that's what really gets us like, okay, something is not right. For me, and I keep saying this, but like, I grew up in East Germany, and that's what they told us, right? There was only one truth, and we only were allowed to watch certain TV and like say certain things and be for a certain political party against church. And now we can't even say amen.
Yeah, to be a woman now. Yeah.
This is just insane. Like, sometimes I watch all this stuff and I'm thinking, am I crazy? Or is the world, you know, what is going, how can anybody with like some common sense think that that is a great idea for a woman to not call her husband anymore? And it's all these things going on. Like, we just identify as a person with a woman. What is going on? What is going on? It's just cancel.
That's the real insanity.
And for people to not see that is crazy.
Yeah.
That's what really gets me like, holy moly. Okay, moving on. Where can we go? Planet Earth. Where's our escape?
Music's our escape.
Music is, and I think as artists, we have that voice and we have that channel and that outlet, and we have to really use our voice, you know, and do our best to, and most importantly, to be yourself, because that's what I don't ever want to do again, where I cannot be myself, you know, where I have to hush and like, I can't say something because I might get blacklisted for thinking differently than you. And that is just insanity, you know, and also being called whatever names, and telling me I'm not a good person because I'm not wearing a mask, walking by myself in the middle of the wilderness. It's definitely
it's crazy. It's crazy. I've noticed my songwriting change a little. 'Cause I'm a very conscious songwriter, but I think letting the subconscious just flow as well is a good thing. I think that's where most of us sort of just let it out, whatever we want it, whatever we want it to be. But with the sync approach that I learned from Kathy, I became a conscious songwriter for a period, but now I've let go a little bit as well. So it was good to sort of walk on both sides and be conscious, but also just be subconscious and let it flow. And my point of that was that I noticed some of my songs started to get angry again. And, I think it's such a good outlet that we have as artists. Doesn't matter if it's a visual artist, actor, performer, singer, whatever. We can let it out. We can let out our energies and emotions and pour them into an artistic channel. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the fact that some of the songs that I've written are a bit angry, and that's okay, because people identify with that as well. People identify with. Some people have said, "Oh, but where's that positivity that you used to have?" It's like, I still have that. I've still got it. I've still got I'm human, right? I got all those different emotions, and I can let them out. And it's pretty cool how a couple of tracks that I dropped have connected with probably different people, a different audience that may have been compared to some of the more positive tracks. Not that my angry stuff wasn't positive. It was just, it was venting, and we identify with music and art of all forms by our energies connect with it. If we identify with something, with like, yeah, fuck yeah, I feel that as well, and then so a new audience will be suddenly going and connecting. Yeah, a new audience will be connecting. So I didn't realize I'd sort of turned and let out a few sort of angrier tracks, but because I just let it come out, and I looked at it and was like, shit, does this actually fit the Clear Blue Fire brand or not? It's like, fuck it. Does it really matter? Doesn't matter. If it's me and it's art and it's coming out, then I'm happy with that. And I can steer that in any direction I want to with conscious energy and focus, or not, and just let it guide itself. And at the moment, the world's doing some pretty crazy shit right now. So I'm happy to just sort of let that flow artistically as well. Yeah.
Yeah. That is a struggle I have all the time too, where I'm like, oh shit, this song is like, I like it, but is that who I am as an artist? And I'm like, yeah, I am. It's like, it's just a different part of me. And I believe that we live in a time, thankfully, where we're not so pigeonholed anymore. Like it used to be like you had to be only that, like AC/DC, right? It's like they write the same song for like, I don't know how many years, 30 years or however long they're, and it works for them, right? But I think people like us, I like to change, and I can be really dark and I can be really happy and positive. And I think that's refreshing and cool, because then you're giving sometimes people something that they may not have expected, but still might be like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like, that's a different side. Because like you said, you're not always the same person. You could be really angry. It's not always like, life is good. Although you don't write like that anyway, but, and I like to.
Exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah. And I like that you bring that up, because it's important when you write for sync. You definitely want to be, I think that's a fine line. You want to be more universal, and you want to be, like, especially for commercials and stuff like that, you want to have that, you're selling something. So you want to have that positive vibe and energy. But then at the same time, sometimes you may write something that is so authentic and so strange, and it hits you that might get you like a big ass placement, because it's just it came from that place,
Yeah.
So I think,
and those songs might find a really good home in something like movies or TV series where there is that dark and twisted, strange theme going on, and you've got a dark and twisted song that lyrically works well with a scene. So it's not the happy commercial type music, but that's the beauty of sync, is I think that you can that really anything goes. Anything goes. It doesn't have to be all hand claps and ukuleles.
No more, no more ukuleles. Well, this was so awesome. So I'm going to start asking some general questions because I think it's going to be fun. I want to know, what is your favorite quote, if you have one?
Ooh.
Put me on the spot.
Yeah, you put
I don't
me
know
on
if I could
the
answer that. If somebody asked me that, I'd be like, I don't know. It could be your own, like maybe it's just like a way of living. You're kind of like mantra.
Okay, I'm gonna go all out. I'm gonna go balls deep on this one. This is my own quote, and this may not sit very well with anyone or with some people, and that's okay. I'm fine with it. I like this one. This is one I remind myself every day of sort of who I am, and justify it, and I can say to myself, I'm okay with that, and so I like to tell myself this one. Ask anyone. I'm literally the nicest guy you could ever meet. I will literally do anything for anyone. But try and fuck with me and I'll kill you.
I like that.
Right? So it's a bit brutal, it's a bit honest, but I think it's 200% honest. I know a lot of people, you and I know a lot of people virtually online as well and in the real world. And that's just 200% who I am. That's really who I am. I'm a giver, I'm generous, I'll do anything for anyone, but I don't like being taken advantage of. And that's why I think I'm willing to speak up with my concerns about where the world is at the moment, because I care so much. It's only because I care. It's actually really, really challenging to put your neck out, because that's what you're doing. As soon as you open your mouth on such a controversial topic, you're putting your neck out, and it's basically saying, I'm ready to have my head chopped off, right? So, but I think you asked me before, has it affected my music being a little bit outspoken on some of these controversial topics? And I think it may have to some degree, but at the same time, there's a whole other group of people that I've connected with that are like-minded and that also care enough. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah. One door closes, another one opens.
Yeah, exactly.
And it feels so much better to be authentic and to have a circle of friends where you can be who you are without having to worry about, seeing. There's nothing worse than having to pretend you're somebody you're not.
Exactly. I think as artists, we are our own biggest critic. I think that's a famous quote. That's like, as every artist, we're our own biggest critic. We're always self-analyzing, self-reviewing, going, is that okay? Is that good enough? As a producer, I'm doing that all the time, listening, going, is that good enough? Is that right? Is that okay? But then self-analysis, stepping back and looking at the big picture and going, right, does it all, is it, like you said it before, and I said it too, is that who I am as an artist? Is it okay to bring out a track that actually sits way over here? It's not in perfect alignment with my vision of my branding, but that's okay, because we can be all the different emotions. We can be angry and happy and sad and positive, and we're also allowed to be, I think, allowing ourselves time to be, how do I put this, justify it? Not be negative, but sometimes it's okay to lie in the gutter and lick your own wounds, to be able to get back up again and be strong again to move forward.
I love that. Yeah, we're not always strong. There's times where
that's right.
That's okay too. That's I think the most challenging part, to show your vulnerability. But I think that we appreciate that because we are so taught to always be tough and we got this and think positive. which, yeah, of course, but sometimes it's like, no, things are fucking fucked right now, you know.
Yeah.
And that's just a reality, and I will come back out of this, but right now I'm not feeling really good on, you know, that like it's okay to not be okay thing, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. It's okay. It is okay. And that's like showing that vulnerability is a very strong thing to do.
Absolutely. That's
It's
what
much harder to let it out.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That
To
is
show it, to
exactly.
actually be vulnerable. It's actually much harder to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and that shows you actually a very strong person, because a strong person usually hides all that. You know, it's a lot of insecurity. A lot of people that just put up this front, being all tough, they're hiding all that.
Yeah.
You know, behind that cheer. I wanted to ask you, as a producer, what do you use? What is one of your favorite plugins, and what do you use? What kind of DAW do you use? I use Cubase, like a recording program for those who don't know. Like,
Sweet.
what's your favorite one?
I've been using Cubase for a
Oh,
long time. Yeah, a long time. I've been using it since, dare I even say it, showing my age now. I've been using it since the mid 90s, right? So about 1997, 1996, 97, I started using Cubase, and it's been rebuilt twice from the ground up. That the engine behind, like the operating system, the engine behind Cubase's foundation has been built from the ground up twice during the last 2 decades, and I've just stayed using it. I think many DAWs are all really good. I think they all do the same sort of thing. You know, I never jumped across to Pro Tools, but I'm sure it's very capable of doing certain things. I know that Cubase does some things better, but I know that Pro Tools is probably easier for doing other things than Cubase. So I think it's just whatever you prefer to use. And whatever you're accustomed to, right? So I got very used to using the Cubase graphic user interface, and I'm familiar with the menu systems and everything. So I just stuck with it. It's very capable of doing full broadcast quality production. You know, I mean, if I'm getting tracks on Lucifer and Warner Brothers Productions and all that sort of thing, Netflix, etc., it's equally as good as any other DAW. And as far as my plugin suites, I love all the Sound Toys stuff. Sound Toys make some great stuff.
yes.
Very cool for like mashing things up and getting distortion and getting harmonic frequencies. There's a few other bits and pieces, but I think the Sound Toy stuff is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Any favorite like virtual instruments, like Omnisphere or like a Complete or?
I've got the Complete Ultimate 11. Which is probably about 3 or 4 years old now, 3 or 4 years old. And that is pretty awesome. There's a ton of good things in there. I don't use Omnisphere, but probably just because I haven't done a hell of a lot of synth. I shouldn't even speak about it because I hear people talk about it all the time, but I haven't used it. So
right.
I'm probably not sure the extent of its capabilities even. Yeah.
It's pretty deep. It's pretty, but you know, it's sometimes I look for a sound, I can find a freaking sound to save my life, even though I have so many different synths. So I feel sometimes it works against you, you know, having a little bit less is more. And Complete, oh my God, I haven't even gone through like a quarter of what I got too. It's
exactly
almost overwhelming, you know. I think a good song should be played with the piano or like with a guitar and hold up, you know, and then
keeping it simple. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So you love the vegan diet. What's your favorite food, like, or vegetarian? What's your favorite food?
Ooh, potatoes.
Potatoes?
Potatoes and rice. Yeah, like not together, not together. Just like they're my two staples. Because I can make any meal at all with potatoes or with rice.
Very
good. Start with those, and then add some greens, and the rest is
maybe. What is your guilty pleasure?
Ooh.
You're like, don't ask me all these questions.
Yeah, I'm not really a sweet tooth, so I don't like get stuck into ice cream. I don't get stuck into chocolate too much. I'm a savory, so I like I don't know if I have got a guilty pleasure. Cheese. I think anything with cheese. I like nachos and all, and yeah, anything with cheese. Yep.
And what's your number one pet peeve?
Sorry, my number one
Pet peeve, like something that really irritates you, like.
Oh yeah. People who how do I phrase this? People who are unwilling to even consider the possibility of an alternative. And I'll leave it as ambiguous as that, because I think that goes far and wide. Everything that's from music to sexual preference to COVID, right?
Yeah.
If you're not even willing to consider that there could be, that it's okay for someone else to have a different opinion to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's important, if you have a different opinion, to be open-minded enough to at least accept someone else's, opinion versus just like, and I mean, I know it's hard. I know it's hard for me. Like sometimes I'm like, oh my God, just but I'm like, okay, if you don't shut me down, I won't shut you down either. I'll give you, I mean, I don't agree with you and I think it's crazy, but don't shut me down, or don't hush me. Oh, I can't stand that. Don't hush me. I've been hushed too much before in my life when I was younger. So don't hush me ever.
Too.
Yeah. That's oh my God. So people can find you on sunfeedermusic.com, right?
Yeah, sunfeedermusic.com. But that's me. It's me, like, as a producer.
Mm-hmm.
And then clearbluefire.com
Mm-hmm.
is my rock project, rock band.
Mm-hmm.
They're the main two. They're the key two things. I've done a few other things as well. I've got 5-Star Neon, which is also 5starneon.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the socials, if you search any of those via the handle, so Sunfeeder Music, Clear Blue Fire,
Mm-hmm.
or 5-Star Neon, you can find Insta, whatever, Facebook. But not sure how long I'll be following up on all those platforms with the way things are going, but for now I'm still there.
Yeah. I'll put that
YouTube, the YouTube channel is still going strong as well, but
Good.
they're another corrupt globalist. so
I've been thinking about that, because I mean, even honestly, even Parler is like Soros, like, so it's like he owns it. So it's really almost like, where do we go? Where do we go? If everything shuts down, like, they've been talking about the blackout and all that kind of stuff, which already happened, like in Europe. And I'm like, oh my God, like, so I'm actually, that was kind of on my to-do list today. I was like, I should probably write down people's numbers, because I don't even know my friends, most of my friends' phone numbers or addresses. And I'm like, just in case, because we've started to rely on technology so much. If that's taken away from us, we're kind of screwed.
I was thinking of the same thing. I was thinking, like, see, WhatsApp is owned by Facebook. So where do we go?
Yeah.
Like, where do we go? But I was thinking the same thing. I'm just gonna have to start taking down people's numbers, because, and I actually hit up a really good buddy of mine, my drummer from the Clear Blue Fire, right? I hit him up. I said, dude, because he got rid of his Facebook about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. He got rid of his Facebook, and I just hit him up when I saw what Insta have publicly said about their new terms and conditions, which are absolutely ludicrous.
It's crazy.
But they've been doing it all along. They're just now telling people that that they're doing.
Yes.
And I hit him up. I said, dude, are you still on this number? Because I just sent him a phone message to his phone, and he's gone, man, I was literally just saying the same thing like 2 hours ago. He's going to close his accounts and just get rid of Instagram as well, because it's a communist controlling. It's out of control. But as soon as you talk like that, the average person thinks that you're crazy, right? But the truth is that it's a dangerous platform. When they're taking all your information, they're watching all your banking. They're watching every keystroke that you do.
When I read that, it even said that any devices near the phone, if you are on Instagram, they can have access to that.
Yeah.
And
so people who are in the room.
Yeah, we're not making the shit up. You can read it. It says that. you know?
Yeah.
And that is like, holy fuck, like they can get to all my contacts. I mean, I don't even know what they're going to do with it. Why? But it's still, you know, they can watch us.
Yeah.
Can watch your children. They can whatever. It's just like a very not cool thing to do, you know?
Not cool.
Yeah. But we've become, it's like Spotify. They fucking artists, but we're all on there because it's a platform that everybody uses. So they kind of really have us in a way, you know, where I see it as an EPK, like a free EPK, you know, but I mean, I don't make money off that. And so, yeah, we've become very addictive and reliant on all these things that are actually, if they go away, where do your fans find you, right? Where?
Yeah.
I mean, even
my YouTube channel has been doing really well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's been doing really well. My Facebook, Clear Blue Fire Facebook is, I don't think people go to Facebook to look for music. So that's fine. And Instagram has been growing slowly, but my YouTube channel has been doing really well. So, and I haven't been working it. It's just been working by itself. So I'm going to stay on that platform, as corrupt as I think they are. As you said, where do we go? So there'll be somewhere new. The world is emerging into something. There's a massive change taking place, and we're all part of this shift. It's going to, something good can only come from it, right? Hopefully.
Something good will come from it. I'm with you. I think this is still like a weird, crazy time, but at the end of whatever this is, I think we're going to come out stronger, and definitely something good's going to come from it. In the meantime, join our mailing list so you can stay in touch with us, you know, for sure. Do you have any last words for the audience that you would like to share? Otherwise, I so appreciate your time and the conversation, because I know you're on vacation right now. You know, you're having a blast over there on your boat. I'm like, I want to be on the boat right now too.
No, I'm happy to talk with you. You know, I'm a fan of what you're doing, everything that you do as well. And like we talked before, you know, we're very like-minded, and I love what you're doing too. So I'm stoked that we got to have a chat and a hangout, and to anyone else who's watching and listening, I think the message should just be, don't be afraid to just be yourself, and that's the biggest thing. You know, we can all self-analyze ourselves too much, and that self-analysis is like, I heard a cool phrase: if you deliberate fully before you take a step, you'll spend your life on one leg. That's just an old quote that I heard, right? So throw caution to the wind and just take that step in that direction, and just do it. And if it's wrong, if you learn something from it, then it's not a mistake, right? It's just be yourself, and don't be afraid to be that.
Love that. What a great way to end this. Thank you so much. Well, enjoy the rest of your vacation, and we will talk very soon, and hopefully at some point collaborate a little bit.
I hope so.
I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Nice.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
To get out, explore. I've been here for way too long, so sick of all the same old shit. I'm so over it. I think this chapter is done. I keep thinking, we had a good run. To the ground, to